Hello and welcome to the Weekend SaaS Build, Episode 1. In this series, I create SaaS projects from the start to full release in one video using SpeedPy boilerplate and appliku for deployment. Today I will be making a simple invoice generator SaaS. I will use CLI Claude Code for specs and coding, and Codex will be reviewing both, so Claude can fix its mistakes. Step 1 is to clone the SpeedPy boilerplate and start it. I will use the without Docker option this time. When it is initialized, you can see the generated superuser credentials and commands to start the Django development server and npm command for Tailwind watch process. I will launch them both in separate tmux windows. Now that the Django development server is running, open the link in the browser. Log in with the superuser credentials to the dashboard. By default, SpeedPy comes with the Teams feature enabled, and it is not needed for this project, so I'm going to disable it. To do that, I will add an environment variable to the .env file. SpeedPy Teams enabled equals false. For that change to take effect, I need to restart the dev server. Now reload the browser and the teams are gone. I will open the new tmux window and launch Claude Code. I will allow dangerously skip permissions, so I don't have to click accept edits in this video, but please read about dangers of this mode. Now we go back to the editor and write a vague spec for the invoice generator. Back to Claude Code. I will ask it to read my spec and expand it, use Codex for review, and act on the feedback. Since I'm building a proof of concept, I don't care about the details. Otherwise, I would ask it to ask me all the questions, which I will manually review and answer. But now, I will give them both freedom to make assumptions. Otherwise, the video will take an eternity or two. In the end, we get the same file, updated with the full spec, ready for implementation. I suggest you read it to make sure that both of the AI agents together didn't come up with something completely unrelated to what you originally intended. I also forgot to switch model from Sonnet to Opus. Sonnet is less smart and Fable will be an overkill. Let's review the resulting spec. The point I care the most is that the first paragraph correctly reflects what we are building. Also that the routing and view behavior is what we might want, and that it doesn't do anything that we didn't ask for. So far looks good, so let's ask it to implement it. Start a new chat with the /new to clear the context, and ask Claude Code to implement it by pointing to the file with the spec, and make it use Codex for review and act on the feedback. Now that it is done, you can review what was built. I want you to pay attention to the Codex review part. That's, in my opinion, the basics of making vibecoding produce something reasonable. You must have a model of a different AI vendor to verify the code produced by the model that did the implementation. A single model will always overlook something, and another model is here to point it out. It doesn't guarantee a perfect result, but without such reviews, the result is guaranteed to be buggy. Let's reload the browser window. We'll see the invoice form, fill it in, and see if it does what we asked for. PDF looks great. Let's look how much tokens did I spend. I have $20 per month plans, minimal ones, for both Claude and ChatGPT Plus, which comes with Codex access. I spent 3% of Claude Code weekly limit and 1% of Codex weekly limit. Now let's make some improvements. I want to have a catalog of companies so we can fill the details once and invoices history stored in the database. To do that, I go back to the editor and create another spec and describe the change. Now back to Claude Code. Create a new chat so we don't waste tokens and the previous iteration doesn't affect the next phase. Once again, asking it to improve/expand the spec and run it by Codex. I've got a new spec. Codex once again proven to be useful by providing a few interesting feedback items. Let's look through the main points there. We can see the general idea, what is going to be built. We also see the shape of models and views it wants to build. So far looks according to what I wanted. Let's make a new chat again, because we want to be token efficient. And again asking Claude Code to implement the task according to the spec in the second file and use Codex for review. After 27 minutes of hard work of 2 AI agents, we got the result, and nearing the Claude Code session limit. Luckily, I took a few breaks while making this video, and the next 4-hour session started. Once again, it is a good idea to look at what was built and what Codex brought up during the review. Back to the browser, and let's see and try the new functionality. We've got Invoices list with filters and 2 new items in the sidebar. Let's add 2 companies, one for us and one for the client. And the new invoice looks exactly the same as before, so all seems to be good. Now let's commit our changes to Git. For that I use terminal app called LazyGit. Now open github.com/new and create a new repository. I will set it public for the purpose of this video, but you probably want your thing to stay private. Since we already have the repository initialized, just copy git remote add line and run it within the repo. Then do git push. One more thing. Since we have added PDF generation to our project, it requires some additional dependencies, which are not included in SpeedPy. Let's tell Claude Code to modify the Dockerfile to include those dependencies. You can do git add and push the changes. One more thing. The change that we've done to .env file is local only. For the deployed application, we need to edit appliku.yml and disable themes there as well. Make sure to put false in quotes. I made a mistake here forgetting them. Add, commit and push the changes again. Now open appliku.com dashboard and create a new app from GitHub. Give it a name, pick the repository in the branch, pick a server. If you haven't created a server yet, you'd need to do it first. The app is fully configured, databases are created, thanks to appliku.yml file. The initial deployment might take up to a minute. The next ones will be much faster. Now you can open the app. But let's get back. Click on the deployment and scroll down. At the bottom of these logs you will find the auto-generated password for the superuser. Copy it. Go to login and use the generated credentials. And now let's make sure that the app works the same way as locally. All of it worked well, PDF looks good. Congrats! We have built an app from the start to deployment, and it took us less than an hour in total, including waiting for AI agents to do the boring part. Give it a try yourself. Grab your copy of SpeedPy SaaS boilerplate and make an app that you need or want today. Use appliku.com to deploy your Django app to a cloud server of your choosing. Appliku works with other stacks too. Fast API, Ruby on Rails, Next.js, and more. You make your application. Appliku manages your servers. Thank you for watching.